The Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report. Dom Knight here with Charles Firth, apparently in a car somewhere. Charles, where are you?
I'm currently in Canberra, on my way to probably the biggest city in Australia for the War on 2020 Love Tour, which is, of course, Wollongong. Really, I mean, it's
very, very big.
We're coming home.
The Chasers World Tour, Andrew's hackles prickled up there. Andrew Hansen's here too. Hello, Andrew Hansen from the Chaser, the original former Chaser.
Hello. Look, speaking of tours,
oh no,
mine goes on sale tomorrow as well. But I don't know if I'm doing Wollongong. I don't know, Charles. Should I do Wollongong? I mean, I haven't added it yet to the itinerary.
The way we do our itinerary is we go lock in Wollongong and then design the entire tour around fitting in with the Wollongong day.
Fitting in Wollongong, because it's kind of like the LA or the New York, I guess, or the London. It's like
it's Broadway.
It's Broadway, really. It's
Broadway,
where things start, and then you might do, what's the equivalent of the West End? Do you think maybe
Bathurst.
somewhere?
Bathurst.
Bathurst is basically that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that one listener, Emily, who emails us, will enjoy saying that. The Central West End, they call it.
Hi, Emily. Come to my show in Bathurst next year.
Are you going to play Bathurst really? Gabby Bolt sold out Bathurst, but she's local.
She did. I'd love to do Bathurst. Is there a Bathurst comedy festival? I would do it if there was one.
There would be one if Gabby started one. I think she's the only person who could.
Yes. She should launch one. I would definitely
what a good idea.
Be a part of that. Yes.
So where can people buy tickets, pray tell, Andrew, if one wants? And what's the name of your show?
My name, it's a show about coping with these incredibly expensive times we live in. And my show's called Andrew Hansen is Cheap. And it's my guide to sort of how to survive, through which I do through, idiotic songs and sketches.
Oh, very nice.
Are
the tickets cheap?
The tickets are cheap. The tickets are cheap. And you just look up, the first ones that go on sale are Sydney Comedy Festival and Canberra Comedy Festival. And then on Tuesday, Melbourne and Adelaide festivals are going to go on sale.
How ambitious. And are the jokes cheap as well?
They're so cheap, Dom. I've
wonderful. striven.
They are bargain basement jokes rushing out because I used to do warehouse commercials. I know a lot about how to be cheap and offer things that are crazy prices. So if you want some affordable comedy, from the most cut price member of the Chaser, that's where you get it.
I think the most cut price touring member of the Chaser. I'm pretty sure I'm the most cut price member of the Chaser. But, no, that's wonderful. Well, the podcast's just devolving into plugs, really, rather than any other reason to exist.
Speaking of which, don't you put an ad here?
But I can't believe. But I cannot believe that we've spent so long with the podcast and not talked about the biggest event, probably in the history of Australia, which is that the Socceroos have made the finals.
Hang on, let's just check if Andrew knows what we're talking about. Chad, have you heard of the Socceroos, Andrew Hansen?
A Socceroo? What manner of creature is that?
You know that it's not trendy to pretend to not know about sport, Andrew.
It is. It's very fashionable. No. Look, I admit I've heard of the Socceroos. I wasn't aware that they were playing or whatever. You'll have to tell me about that.
Seriously, you're not aware that currently the FIFA World Cup, the world's largest sporting event, is taking place?
I was aware of FIFA because I'm across the controversies of FIFA, but I hadn't connected FIFA to the actual Socceroos because I'm never sure which sport these. But the only advantage to me of them being called the Socceroos is finally there's a team who I know what sport it is. Whereas other people will say, the Eagles are playing or something, or the Panthers are doing this and that.
Or the Wallabies. You'd have no idea.
And I have
what
no
they
idea. Like they're all named after bloody animals, and I don't even know whether they're talking about the golf or the curling. I wouldn't have a clue.
I've always found the Australian men's cricket team very hard to decipher what they do.
I know. All I know is they're men, and they're from Australia, and they've been named after an insect called cricket.
Can I just be honest and say, I am already incredibly bored by this conversation. Can we talk about something more interesting?
So dull. It's so dull. I switched off at the mention of Socceroos.
You were the two worst possible people to talk about the World Cup with. It was so exciting at 4 a.m.
I was feigning enthusiasm. I didn't watch there's only 1 point in the entire fucking game. What a stupid game. It's built on the backs of 600,500 dead migrant workers It's just it's a morally despicable game. If you're going to watch a morally despicable game, you might as well just watch the Australian men's cricket team, because at least they're entertaining. Yeah. Soccer is fucking bullshit, man. Let's talk about China or something. Let's talk about something more interesting.
You both disappoint me enormously.
No, I agree. Who's bringing something to talk about? Anyone? Or do we finish here?
I want to talk about what's going on in China, because this has the feelings of like another 1989. There's only a couple of times in your life where you live through moments where there is a genuine sort of revolutionary fervour. And what is going on in China is extraordinary. Like, they're living in the most authoritarian state with the most strict social controls of any state that's ever existed in the history of humanity. It's controlled using, high-tech methods of coercion and control, right? And people are just going, fuck it, we're just going to protest anyway. We're just going to actually throw barricades at police officers. We're going to risk being locked up for possibly decades simply for holding up blank signs. Like, the whole revolution is based on this old idea that, which was a whole Russian proverb, which was, you don't need to actually write down what you're protesting about because everyone knows what you're protesting about. So
it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And that's going on there. And then in Iran at the same time.
Yes.
People are just going, we have had enough. But no, it is amazing in China that they're holding up blank pieces of paper.
I want to brainstorm today how we can get Australia to be in the same sort of revolutionary fervour as China.
Like, well, how do we? I can start you there, Charles, right away, because I live in a state that, you say China's the most repressive regime ever known in the history of humanity, but you forget that I live in the state of Victoria.
Oh, no.
Which is exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
Victoria, Stan. Yes.
That's right, yes. And, as the Murdoch Press have pointed out, we too are run by a dictator who recently won a suspiciously large number of votes, like all dictators do.
It was
dictators who they run these sham elections, you see, don't they?
I mean, no one in the media predicted it. That just goes to show that it was fake. It was a dupe. The fix was in. It was rigged.
Well, it must be. I mean, how else do you explain it other than that people voted for him? Because there's no other explanation.
No, but if they did vote for him, it's because they probably felt some sort of coercion. They probably felt like they had to, otherwise they'd be killed or something.
Well, I did. I turned up at the booth, and there was this Melbourne barista standing there with a huge beer who pointed a coffee machine right at my head and told me I had to vote for Daniel Andrews, or else I would get a blast of espresso.
Was it a bespoke vote? Was your voting artisanal?
Yes, absolutely. I had to write on a piece of sourdough instead of a.
I presume in Victoria you vote by, I don't know, using sealing wax or something, or maybe you can knit a ballot paper. How does it work?
Of course, yes, it's environmentally friendly, no? Yeah, no, we're not allowed to use any manufacturing here.
I'm just thinking, in Victoria, if you held up a piece of blank paper, it would be a considerably better product than the Herald Sun, wouldn't it?
It would, and it would probably just be interpreted as a great piece of public art, and you'd receive about $20,000 in funding.
You'd have an art subsidy from Daniel Andrews.
Andrew, when you went to vote, I know this is an awkward topic, were there stairs? Because my theory is that the way that they rigged the election is by having it in lots of venues with stairs. And we know that stairs are the most devastating political force in Victoria, and you're in cahoots with Daniel Andrews.
Yes, it prevented him from being able to vote. He wouldn't be able to vote for himself if there were stairs involved, or at least more than one stair. Because I think it was a flight of two
or
stairs,
three.
Wasn't it?
Yes. Are two stairs even a flight? Can we call it two stairs a flight, or
it's a short flight?
Inconvenience?
So look, it's a frightening place. So we might have to begin the revolution here.
Yeah, although I must say I did like the Shovel reported yesterday actually that Victoria is now the world's most livable dictatorship, which I think.
We're very proud of that.
At least you've got that, Andrew.
That's very good.
Yeah.
As every Victorian will tell you incessantly at every possible opportunity. We are so livable here. My God, I can't get over the livability-ness Oh my God.
Do you feel that people constantly banging on about livability reduces the livability? Because I do.
Yeah, it's very irritating. It's all, yes, and when they bang on about being the best place, that kind of makes you stop thinking it's the best place because you can't.
It's a very insecure city, isn't it, Melbourne? I love it, but it's really insecure. It's like your friend who's just constantly boasting because they're so completely neurotic about, you're not having respect for them or something.
Well, it is. Ironically, I think the one thing that stops it being the best is that they keep on banging on about it being the best. I mean, if they just stopped doing that, it probably would be the best.
Well, if they stopped doing that, they'd be Canberra, because Canberra doesn't. Canberra doesn't think of itself as the best, but it keeps on being named as the best city in the world.
That's so funny. Do you think it's the best? I mean, it's pleasant to drive around, isn't it?
I'm currently in Canberra. I went this morning. I drove along empty roads because no one seems to.
And that's peak hour, isn't it?
It's peak
hour is when you're there. Your presence alone turns it into peak hour.
My presence makes it go yellow on the Google Maps.
That's right. Yeah, it goes from empty.
Charles, I saw some paperwork this week that said you were born in Canberra.
I was born in Canberra.
So you've always been a Canberran.
Yeah, it's nice to be home, isn't it? I moved out of. I was born in September 1975, and Gough Whitlam got sacked. When was it? In November. So I was about 2 months old. That was my first protest rally. We all went down to Parliament House. My mum heard that Whitlam had been sacked. And so I was there on the steps of Parliament House.
You and Norman Gunston.
Me and Norman Gunston. We were holding up white pieces of paper, just blank pieces of paper, because it was too oppressive to actually write down what we were protesting. Maybe I just didn't know what we were protesting. But then straight after that, after Whitlam was sacked, my starry-eyed Whitlamite parents, I think, just said, "This is enough. We've got to get out of Canberra." And we fled.
You were refugees, political refugees from the Fraser, Canberra.
I mean, in some ways, 1975, that, Remembrance Day 1975 was our, revolution in the same way that, like Crackdown, just like it was happening in China. Do you think that's an offensive comparison to make?
No, I think it's exactly the same. I think it's very fair, Charles.
Yeah, I think it is.
We're just, in fact, I think those Chinese people are probably copying. I reckon all those people we see at the iPhone plant throwing furniture.
They're just going, remember what happened to Whitlam.
Yeah, that's right. We don't want a Whitlam to take place here at the iPhone factory.
Yeah, Canberra is the Beijing of Australia, in that it's the capital. It's centrally planned, and whenever there are actual signs of life anywhere, they bulldoze them.
Well, I bought some shopping yesterday, and I was just returning back to the hotel with 2 shopping bags, and this tank came up in front of me, and I just stared it down.
Oh, that's Canberra for you.
Yeah,
that is Canberra, and that is.
Actually, from what I hear, Canberra is tank proof because they can't possibly get around the roundabouts.
Their turning circle's not good enough.
Genius. No, this is my point. This morning, went out for coffee. Beautiful, went down to Kingston. There's a foreshore there now because they've built a sort of on Lake Burley Griffin. So it's like harbour views. There's no one there yet drinking beautiful coffee. It's the best place in the world. If it weren't for the people and all the sex creeps in Parliament House, this would just be nirvana. This is lovely. I'm moving here. I'm moving back.
Well, you heard it here first. Canberra is the best place in Australia.
Except for the politicians and sex pests.
Our Gears from Road, we're part of the Acast Creator Network. Catch you tomorrow.